Good, good. Thank you very much. Now, on today's segment, IP is standing in for, Ambassador Mkwita, and I'm actually standing in for IP. So we're both standing in for one that is not here. Now, getting straight into the conversation that we have tonight, Government Chief Spokesperson Cornelius Moitwa says Zambia is still in discussions with the United States over continued health sector support. This follows remarks by National Assembly Speaker Nelly Moti, who said the U.S. can keep its aid if it comes with conditions Zambia does not support. Now, here's a clip, and thereafter we get deep into it.
I want to state the following, that the government of the Republic of Zambia is aware of these anxieties that have been reported through local and international media, and wish to state as follows, that we as government are engaged in dialogue with the American government, just like we are with other governments through which we enjoy cordial and warm bilateral and multilateral relations. And at an opportune moment, we shall accordingly update the nation. And that we urge the so-called freelancer journalists not to be misinforming international community about the position of government. Before you report to the international community where you misrepresent yourself, come here to get government position, so that we accordingly tell the nation and the world at large what the position of government is. It's needless to be involved in this kind of kefaf, where we have to explain ourselves over things we do not need to explain ourselves for. Government has a lot of transactions underway.
There you have it, and this, video comes shortly after an international media outlet published a report saying Zambia has declined the U.S., healthy support, which is believed to be $1 billion, and that is equivalent to 26 billion kwacha here in Zambian currency. Now, after that video that circulated of that international media outlet, the issue was raised in Parliament by one member of Parliament, and Speaker of National Assembly Nelly Moti did mention to say if the aid comes with conditions that Zambia does not support, definitely Zambia will not accept. Now I have to introduce my gentlemen on this issue this evening, and Speaker, I'll start with you on this one. Speaker of the National Assembly mentioning about the different stance, but also Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Moitwa saying the talks are still on. Is Parliament and government speaking the same language on this
one? Mike, very good question. Is Parliament and government speaking the same language? I would think that perhaps not. But I'm not surprised that the two wings of government seem to be holding different positions. The reason I'm not surprised is the fact that the government has kept this memorandum of understanding a secret. And it's not supposed to be a secret. The deal is for the Zambian people. The government is acting on behalf of the Zambian people. Therefore, this is not an exclusive document to the UPND administration. It's an exclusive, it's a document that must be put out there in the public domain, that Mike Mwendachawe would know what is contained in this deal. Mike Sichula would know what is contained in this bill. Every single Zambian. So the minister there is saying, you should come here to come and verify before you report. Granted, that is a procedure. But before a journalist should even go to the ministry, The government must know that their responsibility is to be transparent and inform the nation. Therefore, if the government was transparent, there was no need for the minister to be scolding freelance journalists, because the information would have been in the public domain. So in the first place, Chapter 1 Foundation has challenged the government to say, can you publish the contents of the Memorandum of Understanding? And another civil society organization. So the government, the very fact that this thing has sparked debate and the contradictory positions from Parliament to what the government has said, to what the international media is reporting, cause for urgent reaction, not just in calling for a press conference as we saw yesterday. What is required is for the government to be proactive and publish the contents of that MOU. Now, I know that they may not be willing to publish this, and that's where the issue is. Mike, you might wish to ask, why did the civil society organizations of Kenya sue the government to stop a similar MOU in Kenya? Because Kenyan government signed, and when they signed, the civil society organizations and other interest groups rose against the government, challenged them in court, saying the United States of America was asking to access sensitive personal data of citizens of Kenya.
As you conclude on this topic.
As I conclude, just don't rush me, because it's important that people must understand this.
Very.
Kenya refused. The people refused. Next door neighbor here, Zimbabwe, they have refused the same bill. Why must the government here be saying we are still involved in dialogue?
Conversation.
And there is allegation, and until the government proves this allegation to be untrue, there will always be speculation that the United States of America wants to use this MOU to access rare minerals of Zambia. You're talking about gold, you're talking about silver, okay? Why must the US want to use, and I've said this is speculation, it is the government's responsibility to publish the MOU so that they say, stop speculating. For now, there is speculation.
Correct.
Until the government proves otherwise. And the Zambians have said, you cannot get $1.5 billion and say, we will give access to the US, for them to have access to the Zambian rare minerals, or to have access to sensitive citizens' data. That is where the critical issue is.
IP, I will definitely right away come to you actually.
Right.
What if this deal actually goes through without the public knowing exactly what are the contents that are in this deal? What would that mean for the current government?
Thank you so much, Comrade, once again, and the viewers watching this conversation. Let me begin by stating that, one of the qualities of a good leader or good leadership is about transparency. But also there must be dialogue, there must be engagement or transparency, as it were. So if you are going to be a leader out there, but you are failing to engage the people you are presiding over, then that becomes a problem. When I talk about conversation or engagement or dialogue, comrade, it doesn't matter. It could be a painful communication. It could be an unfavorable communication, but you would have communicated with the people. And it's the same even at a governance level, where you are presiding over human beings. Remember that human beings will ask questions. We are different from, for example, animals. Maybe an animal may not ask questions. You will see an animal maybe making noise here and there. You think maybe it's looking for water or something like that. There's something missing there. What about me as a human being? And that's what basically the foundation which PK has given, that a good leader or good governance demands that you must be transparency. You must be able to consult your own people. Give us the details. Give us the, you know, the roadmap on how and why do we need to receive that aid. What is contained into that? Especially in the case of Zambia, where we've had, you know, a lot of scandals. We can talk about the AFRICOM office, which was established here in Zambia. When it came in, there were a lot of talks and speculations. Only government came out now to doing the firefighting here and there at the end of the day. But the Zambian people, they said, why do we have to allow the Americans to establish an AFRICOM office here in Zambia? Others were calling it a base. Others were calling it it's just an office and stuff like that. So people always speculate. But therefore, you as a leader, you need to take up the mandate and be able to communicate with your people. So, to answer your question, if this deal goes through without engaging with the people, and then that becomes a problem, unless the governors, are governing themselves.
Now,
but from the last
just,
time I checked,
to,
the governors are supposed to govern with the people.
Just to cut you short,
Yeah.
earlier, Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Moti, said the U.S. can actually, you know, keep their aid, but just, you know, after those remarks in Parliament, you know, Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Mweta came on again to say the deal is still on the table. Do you think when Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Moti, said the U.S. can keep their deal, do you think the deal was discussed and then it was called off and later on brought back on the table for the minister to come back and say the deal is actually on the table?
Our speaker, I'll tell you one thing, I'm a Zambian, but when I look at the happenings in the National Assembly, when I was young, following parliament deliberations, following parliament conversations, and the referees we've had in this country, I was at some point, you know, having a dream that maybe I can be a speaker one day. But having ended up with the Honorable Nelly Moti this time around, from 2021 to where we are today, and how she's been presiding over the affairs of Parliament, I'll tell you one thing, that not even in my child do have the dream to become a Speaker of National Assembly, because that's not how you preside national affairs. So, to answer your question, Mike, I'll state that the Speaker, first of all, I think she was a bit, I want to be nice, I want to be sweet. She was offside. I don't want to use the word overzealous. It may be so painful to use that word. But I think she was offside, because that question was being directed to the executive PK. You are here, you can guide me. Comrade speech analyst, you are here to guide me. Yeah. That speaker coming from PK Central Member of Parliament, he was asking the Minister of Finance, he wanted to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs to give a clarity or clarification as to whether indeed Zambia had rejected that deal or we had gotten the deal based on the information which was in public domain. Instead of the Speaker allowing the executive, the Minister of Finance or Foreign Affairs to answer that question, she begins to answer that question. In what capacity?
As you conclude, IP.
That is uncalled for, Mike. You can't have a Speaker.
However, IP.
Yes, please.
I agree with her position. This is my understanding.
Please.
That if America want to do business with us,
yes,
on the terms that do not reflect your aspiration as a Zambian,
yes,
let them keep the aid. On that score, I agree with her.
Totally.
She may not have the mandate to answer
yes,
on behalf of an executive member. However, her personal opinion in this context, I think, reflects the reality that we are discussing here. If America wants to give us medical aid, let them give us the medical aid. Remember, Mike and IP, it is the Americans that cut aid to Zambia, 50 million, saying the UPND government is corrupt.
correct.
How does the same America come around and say, no, forget about our allegation of your corruption. Now we want to give you $1 billion dollars, except maybe give us access to your rare earth minerals.
Correct.
Keep America, be a bully where you want to be a bully, not in Zambia.
So, Mike, let me...
Under 20 seconds, IP.
Thank you so much. I agree with the PK. The submissions coming from Honorable Nelly Moti was on point. What I am against, Not not what came out, but what I'm against that she took up that role which is not supposed to be her role. That's what I'm saying. So what PK has said regarding the aid and stuff like that, even in me, I'm one of them that has been saying Zambia doesn't need to be getting aid from elsewhere. And that's what Honorable Nelly Muti talked about. But I will emphasize and I will maintain that's not her role. Unless she tells me and my children or grandchildren to be that the executive are incompetent. The ministers, they are incompetent. They can't answer questions by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speech analyst, coming to you lastly. According to Speaker of the National Assembly, the deal, should not be accepted if it comes with conditions. But according to the minister, the deal is still on the table. How do you see this issue turning out?
Okay, thank you very much. I came across this story when I read Reuters. And in the Reuters report, the headline was like, Zambia pushes back U.S. Support. Then part of the content in that write-up by one of the veterans journalists in Zambia who writes for Reuters, Chris Fuller, he didn't indicate the person who he quoted at the Ministry of Health, whose name was withheld, indicated that in the discussions that started as far back as November 2025 between the two governments, there was some concerns raised by the Zambian delegation over some contents or agreements pertaining to this aid coming to Zambia. Now, because of those concerns, this is why the Zambian government pushed back the document to say, America, we have seen your proposal, but we are doing a counter proposal to what you are demanding us to do in terms of us to access the aid. That is what is contained in the article that I read on Reuters news agency. Now, coming to the speaker and the minister offering divergent comments on the similar topic we're discussing, it raises a lot of concerns in terms of transparency by the Zambian government. Because if the speaker was responding to say, if America has put up certain conditions, I don't think she can speak from hearsay. She might have spoken from a certain point of view that I can put it there. But her, as a person in charge of the registration...
For her to make that comment, do you think she had maybe a look of the deals, the contents that are in that deal?
So everything we talk about here will be speculating, because if she responded from her own intelligence to say, if someone is putting up certain conditions and conditions which Zambians may not agree, then it's better for America to withhold their aid, because these conditions that they are putting up for Zambia, they are not in good standing with Zambia. I want to leave it there. Then coming to the minister, I think the minister is unfair to respond in a manner that seems that he is annoyed. One, I want to tell the Minister of Information that he is getting taxpayers' money. So if journalists ask whether a journalist is a freelance journalist or is a journalist from whatever media house accredited, the Zambian people deserve answers from journalists, because not all the people in Zambia can go and sit in a boardroom at the Ministry of Information to ask questions. Zambian journalists listen to what is going on in the country, and they hold the right to get responses. But the way the minister is coming out is coming out defensive. To me, when I look at his gestures, even as he's responding, it seems like the journalist might have asked a question which the minister may be thinking this journalist knows more than what we have revealed to the Zambian people. But one thing, Mike, you need to realize is that the minister is a custodian of the access to information law. So he must be the first one actually to be happy to say Zambian journalists are probing and they are investigating and they have come up with this. He must be the one to say, actually, instead of you answering, But before I answer you, actually, I want to make this document available to all of you journalists, because the access to information law is actually in force, from what I know.
Yes.
So,
as you conclude.
So why should a minister who is the number one custodian of the access to information be annoyed?
Lambasting journalists.
Be annoyed and lambasting journalists, as PK has said. To me, I think the minister is not only annoyed with journalists, but the minister is annoyed that during this crucial time where some cabinet ministers have gone back to their constituencies to mobilize support, he has been given another job of being a minister, of acting minister of health.
All right.
So, you know, there's a lot of pressure for cabinet ministers who are members of parliament. They are being demobilized, they are being ambushed in their constituencies. So that's how I look at the minister responding the way he did. He looks frustrated somehow.
All right, that's, you know, those are the views that are coming through in regards to the US bill that is said to be on the table by Minister of Information and Media, Cornelius Moito, who is also Chief Government Spokesperson as well as Acting Minister of Health. Now moving on. Traditional leader Chief Mpezeni and 15 members of parliament have endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema ahead of the August general elections. Now the endorsement adds to growing public support for the ruling UPND. As seen last week when the president was on the Copper Belt, students yet again from the Copper Belt endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema. Here's a clip, and thereafter we get deep into it.
Neoine, nang harap man siya ni 43. Yeah. What was the president? Oh, so nito langa bueno uta apa ni solo pa apita. What was the president? Oh, so nito langa bueno uta apa ni solo pa apita.
Play a vital role in fostering national unity.
Unifies us, and I'm very happy, Vice President of Malawi, that when we took office, we encouraged traditional leaders to attend each other's ceremonies. And today alone, we have almost 80 chiefs in attendance here at this important ceremony. So therefore, I can confirm here that this government will continue investing in our heritage, in this ceremony. We are too slow. I'm the first one to admit that we are too slow. We will pick up speed going forward because this is very important for the government. And that also includes Sipata, Mudazi, Chama. We are fully aware of that.
2026 Central Tradition Ceremony has seen various delegates, 80 chiefs, Vice President of Malawi, Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, and many other government ministers. Reporting for KBN TV News, Declark Chanda, Inchpata, Eastern Province.
All right, there we have it, you know, Chief Mpezeni endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema ahead of the August polls. But not just that, we also had, you know, 15 members of parliament who endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema on his arrival at the just ended Nchwala traditional ceremony in Eastern Province. IP will start with you on this one, and you know, looking at the clip that we've just watched, as well as you know, a video that was circulating online about the 15 MPs who endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema ahead of the August polls. I would love to find out what is the impact of traditional leaders' endorsements on elections, because you know, I'm asking this question because in 2021, yet again, Chief Mpezeni endorsed the late President Edgar Lungu, and just now he has endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema. What impact do these endorsements come with?
That's correct, Mike, and I'm happy that you've got that information about my boss in Paramount, Chief Mpezeni. This evening I'm putting on that Ngoni warrior headgear.
Are you ain't going anywhere.
Yes, but I'll tell you one thing, Mike. Even as I sit here, I feel so ashamed. I feel so embarrassed that I can have a chief or a paramount chief in prison who would want to divide the country based on his personal interest. And I'm speaking to that as his own child, first of all. I'm saying that, Mike, I know the argument will be he's got his own democratic rights. Yes, let's bring that to the conversation, to the table. Let's conversate around that. But Mike, you need to understand, and the viewers watching the program, is that a chief, from the last time I checked, is like a pastor who is running a church. It's like a priest who is running a congregation. So the moment when a pastor, you as a pastor at the pulpit, you begin to endorse certain individuals or groupings politically, you are diluting the role of the traditional leadership. That's number one. But also, I'll tell you one thing, Mike, that I know my chief very well. This is not the first move he has triggered this time around. It's been like that. And if you ask me, I think he needs to be managed very well. Can you tell me, PK, you are here, comrade speech analyst, you are here, including you, Mike. The last time you heard the Litunga himself endorsing any political leader in this country during an election, that doesn't happen. The only place, Mike and the viewers, where you see lawlessness happening, it is always from Eastern Province. Whenever there's Inchwara ceremony happening, expect there will be drama there. So what I'm saying here that yes, the paramount chief has got his own democratic rights, but however, he needs to manage that for the sake of, putting all the children together. Because remember, the opposition, all of them are his children. You talk about the Citizens First President Harry Kalava. He also belongs to the chief in prison. If you talk about Anford Banda, he also belongs, is a child to chief in prison. You talk about Brian Munduire, all these are children. Given Winda, all those are children to chief in prison. But the moment you as a paramount chief, you begin to take sides, that becomes a problem.
Do you think the paramount chief was offside?
He was 100%. Or a million time. The man, he messed up. Allow these other people to make mistakes and do the endorsements, but not a traditional leader. That is a mistake we are making. And I'll tell you one thing, together with the MPs you talked about, when you count those MPs, Mike, let's be attentive. The analysis, we are critical thinkers. When you count the people that were being paraded or who paraded themselves, I don't know which one is correct, to endorse the president Hakainde Hichilema, some of those individuals were more like being recycled. Last year we saw them at the same place, endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema. Today they have only added maybe 2 or 3. That is Masauso Tembo for Sinda. They have also brought in Bahati Member of Parliament, and there could be another one. There are 3 new ones. But the rest, they are the same people who endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema last year. So even if you are a political advisor to the president in Living Goma, really, for the sake of just having this publicity, can you parade the same people? How? It's like in this campaign, me parading you, Mike, and others. This year we endorse PK, no PK, we endorse you as our boss. We want you to contest on this position of maybe Mr. Zambia or something like that. Next year, I will bring the same Mike. The only new person I will bring in to be Mike, Comrade Sichula here. Bring the same people. And then PK, are you going to be happy and say, I've got support? Really? So, comrades, let us accept that there's a problem. Starting with the chief, paramount chief in Pezeni, I've mentioned to you, and I'm here to be, you can challenge me, Mike. Challenge me, Mike Senior. You can challenge me, PK. The last time I checked in Mukuni's village, southern province.
As you conclude.
As I conclude, I have never witnessed any such kind of lawlessness happening from the Nchwala ceremony. Whenever there's a traditional ceremony in Southern Province, the Samana Momba traditional ceremony we check every year. You never see this kind of confusion. The only time when you see President Hakainde Hichilema receiving endorsements, it will be after the main function. HH will have maybe a public rally elsewhere and he will be endorsed. But it's Eastern Province, oh my goodness. But by the way, Mike, we're told that Chief Mpeze and the organizers, they had banned the usage of party regalia at the Nchwala ceremony. Political party regalia. What has happened there? So these are the questions that we keep on asking. And the only person with answers is Chief Mpeze, who is trying to divide this country. And I hope that he will repent.
All right, speech analyst, now coming to you. Does that move raise, concerns about the neutrality of traditional leaders?
Yeah, thank you very much once again. One thing that our viewers need to understand, and riding on what IP has stated, traditional leaders, they're like church leaders. They hold positions of influence. So that position of influence needs to be managed carefully, because if you do not manage it carefully, there's a likelihood that whatever you say may not go well with your subjects. In this case, Chief Mpeze should understand, having been on the throne for the last 4 decades, he should understand very well that whatever I say has a negative implication or a positive implication depending on the divide where you are looking at it. So in this case, the chief, in my view, he was just using diplomacy. Because let's imagine for once the traditional leader stated that the president, I'm not happy with your position. Because this is the same traditional leader during the time of the delimitation exercise. He came out gun blazing with his other subject to say, we don't like this delimitation. How do you come about this delimitation, and so on and so forth? Look, he complained over a government exercise championed by President Hakainde Hichilema. Then a day or so later, you come and say, no, I'm endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema because of massive development. What has happened to the complaint you had on the delimitation exercise? So it creates inconsistency of complaints. Secondly, I want to recall what late President Edgar Lungu stated. At one point, President Edgar Lungu stopped attending these traditional ceremonies. He stopped attending these traditional ceremonies because he had a view that whenever I go to these traditional ceremonies, instead of upholding the values of the traditional ceremony, it becomes a platform for political, gaining political mileage. Look, the president went to Mfue. I think the people of Eastern Province who do not rarely see the president needed to be the ones in the forefront at the Mfue International Airport to welcome the president and express to the president whatever they feel is not going right or how things are going right. But what did we see? We see the parading of politicians. Politicians are just participants or spectators of the traditional ceremonies, but they became many actors. Did you hear of anyone at that traditional ceremony complaining to say, Mr. President, I think next time, can you improve on when you're going to give inputs? No one. But what we saw was that political party MPs who are seeking for adoption on the PF, on the UPND ticket, because they know that in the PF, they may not be adopted because there's a lot of confusion in the PF. So the only chance for them to continue being members of parliament in their respective constituencies is by publicly saying, Mr. President, we are here, we can work for you, this is why we are endorsing you.
As you conclude speech on this.
Thank you very much. That is the problem. So I would conclude by what I remember President Edgar Lungu said. The president said at some point, I've just forgotten who he was talking to, but he did say that the problem with our traditional leaders, today, you go there today, they will say this. Tomorrow you go there, they will say another issue. That is on record. If our viewers can check, the president did indicate, because there was a problem somewhere. It should have been in Petauke. Someone was complaining, a cabinet minister was complaining. So the president did say, no, the problem I have with our traditional leaders, they have double tongues. You go there, because remember, the president does not go empty-handed to a traditional leader. So the only traditional leaders in Zambia who have understood that you don't need to divide your people, I'll cite Kalonga Gawaundi, the Lozi King. These, you will not find them publicly entertaining politicians, as what we have seen with Paramount Chief Mpezeni. I've also not seen Chief Mwata Kazembe. You know, they understand to say we hold positions of influence. So
right,
imagine if the president, if the Paramount Chief Mpezeni said that, Mr. President, because of what has happened with your delimitation process, I'm not going to endorse you. Imagine what could have happened.
He said that lawlessness.
He said he has been there for quite some time and he understands.
Yeah.
IP last, not IP rather, you were the first one to make a comment. PK, last man standing on this issue. Love to find out the impact that comes with such an endorsement, especially that is coming from the Paramount Chief.
You see the beauty, Mike, with understanding the political atmosphere of Zambia. You can never be deluded. You can never be deceived, not even by a Paramount Chief, because you are a Zambian. If President Hichilema and his government have performed well, you don't need the endorsement of Paramount for you to decide who to vote for. Remember, Paramount Mpezeni has got only one vote. So there is no way he can use his platform and say, all the votes from the Eastern Province will be on President Hichilema. It's not possible.
To ensure the endorsement doesn't carry that.
The endorsement doesn't carry any weight at all.
He endorsed ECL in 2021.
He endorsed ECL in 2021, ECL lost. So even there, he was just being politically correct. He was probably, like Mike said there, that the president doesn't go empty-handed. If I were to make an assumption, that Mpezeni maybe received 1 million from the president during the Nchwala, if I make that assumption, obviously 1 million must make me say something nice to you, as a gesture of appreciating. But his endorsement doesn't change the atmosphere whatsoever. Just like his endorsement of ECO never changed anything. ECO still lost. And remember, even if he could say all the Ngoni votes will be on you, in Eastern Province you have Chewas, you have Ngonis, you have Unsengas. So he's just one among the many voters. So clearly his vote is the only one, if at all. And you see, the truth of the matter is this: the vote is also a secret. There he can play to the gallery, please the government or the president, but in the booth you actually vote for someone else. That's number one. Number two, it's a spectacle of contradictions, as IP had said earlier. It is Mpezeni who went on record to say he has barred any political regalia. But he was the first one to politicize the event. So then what is he saying? What does he stand for? A leader must be known to stand for something. If you say there is no political regalia, it means there is no political sentiments. We showed only that clip of him meeting the president in privacy, but even his official spokesperson at the arena made mention to say, we are behind you and we are going to support we're going to support you. So they themselves, they shot themselves in the foot. They backpedaled on their word. They made their word of no value and of no essence. Because you can't in one breath say no political sentiments, no political regalia, but you are the ones who politicize the event by beginning endorsements. Stick to traditional ceremonies and celebrations and what it can do for Zambians and to bring unity. Yes, lobby for developmental issues. Yes, he lobbied for a university, but to I saw other political leaders there. There was Binwe Mpundu. I don't know who else was there. How did they feel? Will they consider him as a unifying leader? No, they will not. So, Mpezeni, Paramount, you must learn. Now I'm speaking to you as your cousin from from the Bembaland. Ifweta tuchitefi oko tuwafuma yo. Kuchinza alioko na afuma tulanda. Anyway, let me end there.
Maybe coming from his where?
He has to listen. Mpezeni, please don't politicize the event again. We will stop coming there.
Before you even leave the floor, 15 MPs also endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema.
The 15 MPs that endorsed President Hakainde Hichilema, I'm not surprised. From the day some of them were elected, they switched camps. There is what they call Atiani chinja wikute.
Chinja jezu ukolewe.
Chinja timu ukolewe. Those, some of those.
But there is also another saying which says if you can't beat them, join them.
If you can't beat them, join them. Correct. But look, for some of those MPs, I'm not surprised because we are entering into an election season and they do not have a place where they can stand. They have to do everything, what we say, bootlicking, so that they can stand a chance to be adopted. So some of those are just doing that so that they can stand a chance to be adopted. Otherwise, maybe they don't even believe in the ideologies of the UPND because they are PF elected MPs. They believed in the PF ideologies. So how can suddenly Esaka become a tent? in the words of Kalimanj, who was also defected to the UPND. He himself has become a tent.
All right. Mike Suchela, you never touched on this issue, but I'll give you a minute to make touch. Is it because these MPs believe in the UPND ideology, they came to believe in it, and they are actually, lobbying for development, or is it political power that they want to come August the 10th?
This is just about political positioning ahead of the 2026 elections. As PK alluded to, if you look at the happenings, the PF, most of them, we do not know which faction they belong to. Is it the Mundubile or the Given Luinda issue? And do we know whether they have been paying monthly subscription to the PF? If they have not been paying, then they also need to look at where, because when we look at them, first of all, they are political, these are politicians. This is their career. Now they are looking at, say, should this be my last term as member of parliament? Maybe let me try on the UPND ticket. But I can assure you, Mike, and our viewers, that they are not going to have it easy to be adopted on the UPND ticket. They may be used they may be used to parade them for public relations purposes, but they even know that chances of us being adopted on the UPND ticket may be difficult. Why? Because the UPND, being a party in power, they have aspiring candidates in almost all the constituencies. So it is not something that, let me conclude by saying this is just a try and error. Maybe it could happen, maybe it may not happen, because their political career in terms of them coming back after August 13th is not certain. So they are looking for a platform where they can continue being members of parliament.
Well, to sum it up, after, all the gentlemen have said on the issue of Chief Mpezeni as well as 15 MPs endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema. Maybe I'll just put it in one single term, which is political engineering. I guess you agree with me. I guess you agree with me. You're watching KBN TV, and this is the analysis. Now, moving on to the CF, we have latest development as the citizens faced of Harry Kalawa has received over 100 defectors from the ruling UPND in Kawi. Party officials say the defectors have joined at constituency level ahead of the 2026 elections. Here's more. Now, PK, I would love to start with you on this one. 100 defectors actually joining, the ruling UPND, joining the CF from the UPND. What do you think is driving these defectors to move away from the ruling party to join the Citizens First?
Yeah, Mike, very important question again there, because first of all, as I said, we are likely to be seeing more of these things, chiefly because of the season we have entered. Yeah. It's about projecting, it's about public relations, it's about showing popularity, it's about perception management. Now, what is key, and I'm hoping that the director could show some of those pictures. Yeah, there they are. What is key here is that you have a party that is in power. Then you have an opposition party like Citizens First that is hoping to go into government. Normally, it is the opposition to be defecting to the ruling. Now, when you see members of the ruling party leaving their own party to go to an opposition that is positioning itself for government next year, it may begin to tell you some things that maybe they are not happy. They've waited until the last year to see if there's going to be change, if they're going to benefit as they were promised, and perhaps nothing is happening. And we have heard these on radio, phone calls. We have read on social media, people from the UPND saying, look, this is not the UPND I voted for. This is not the UPND I supported. You have been bringing people from outside UPND who didn't suffer, with you. You are giving them positions. You are sending them into foreign services. You are appointing them as ministers and PSs, and you are leaving us who were foot soldiers. You've heard all those on social media. They have, So, in my view, when I begin to see over 172 members of the ruling party leaving with a few months to an election, it tells you that there is discontentment within the ruling party, and people are thinking that maybe we do not stand a chance to form to continue in government. We might as well begin to position ourselves and joining a party that looks like it's more formidable, it's more forward-looking, it's more promising in the name of Citizens First. So I haven't seen many defections, by the way. This is, I think, one rare, event, and so that's why it warrants a topic on the analysis. What does this mean? I have seen today only one man called Stad Mwale, who was a former provincial minister for PF on the Copper Belt, defecting to the ruling party. Now, a person like Stad Mwale, is he defecting because he believes in the UPND? Maybe not. He's a man who was under probe, was being prosecuted and persecuted for alleged. In fact, he has forfeited some.
Yes, he has
some farm.
Correct.
To the state.
Southern province, they're about. Yes.
The state has grabbed some farm that is believed that he may have acquired it illegally.
Obviously.
So, is this a form of buying immunity? Let me join them. Maybe they will feel pity on me. So when I see one man joining the UPND, and the same UPND are the ones who have already confiscated as a government an asset from him, you are actually laundering his image. because you are saying this guy in the court of public opinion is guilty. That's why we have taken a farm from him.
Do you think the UPND have gained by his defection to join them?
Do they?
Do you think the UPND have gained, maybe some sort of support from him as well as the influence that?
No, I would think that State Dimwale's joining of the UPND is a way of him trying to say, please, nsheni mona papata. Mwampuisha sana, I'm one of you. Otherwise, there he is. So, these kind of defections, they don't add value to a ruling party. In fact, they are denting the UPND. They are accepting people they are condemning to say they are thieves. They are thieves. They stole. And this man has already forfeited a farm to the state, which validates the UPND's position. But there they are. The Minister of Copper Belt, Matambo, is receiving him. What are they telling the people? So when I see 172 ordinary citizens joining the CF, that is a real defection, and it tells you that CF is perhaps growing in numbers, is perhaps showing progress, and is speaking to the aspirations of the Zambian people.
Speech analyst, you come on this issue, and on your side, I'd love to find out, what the CF could translate by these, defections, if at all they can actually, turn this into meaningful national electoral gains.
Thank you once again, Mike. When I came across this picture on social media, I got it and I posted on my wall, and I wrote a caption to say, small steps. These are small steps, and I'm glad that the journalists who did the story to say 100+ have joined. Because when you look at that picture, it's clearly possible to say the defectors are 100+. Unlike some of the other stories that we have heard to say he has defected with 3,000 supporters. Because those are very difficult to determine. Because who counted the 3,000? Because I think even the State Dimwale story that PK is referring to has an attachment of saying State Dimwale has defected with about 3,000+. But this is different from what we are seeing on the pictures there, because even me, if I just want to count, there's a lot of accuracy and genuineness to these defections. Because the CF, as far as I know, unless things on the ground, because I don't belong to the CF, I don't think the CF are in the business of paid up defections, where we give you something, then we parade you as a defector, as what happened to the incidents where President Hichilema was at Arthur Davis Stadium. Later on, we saw students complaining that we have not been paid. So there's a lot. Yes, there's a lot of genuineness in that story. Then something that also caught my attention was that if you recall, just a week ago or so, the police on the Copper Belt arrested 16 Tonse members. They said the unlawful assembly. I want to believe that the Central Province Police Command, if they issued a permit to Citizens First, I want to commend them, because to mobilize such a huge number calls for some organizations and also seeking a police permit. I've not heard anyone that has been arrested to say they had conveyed for unlawful assembly. Kudos to the Zambia police, and if indeed the Citizens First did apply for a permit to hold such a meeting and they were permitted, then it is also good for them, because as a party that is aspiring to get into power, you must be seen to be abiding by the law.
As you conclude, Speech Analyst, I would still love to point out to my question, which still stands. We will, the CF have the ability to translate these defections into meaningful electoral gains?
Yes, there's a lot of likelihood that these defections, like I did indicate that I said these are small steps. Because if 100+ defected from the UPND and the PF to join the CF, those members, depending on how the Citizens First structure in Kabwe, depending on the message that they relayed to those new members, it has a ripple down effect where those members can go into communities where they're coming from to send the message to say, actually, if you are complaining that the price of goods is expensive under the UPND administration, there's this alternative that the CF is proposing to say when they get into power, they are going to do a lot of industrialization. When they get into power, they are not going to depend on hydropower generation of electricity as well as solar. They are going to venture into nuclear energy, which means we are going to have more electricity across the country. So it depends with what the structures, what message are they sending out to the new defectors? Because if the message that
10 seconds.
If the message that you are sending out carries a positive message to as an alternative to what the UPND has failed, then there are high chances that those members are going to be convinced, and when they are convinced, they will not sit on that message. They will send this message to their neighbor, who also send this message to their neighbor. In the end, the number will grow from 100 and plus to probably maybe 3,000 or 5,000.
All right. IP, I'd love to come to you and find out how damaging are these grassroots defections to a ruling party's re-election chances.
Yes, look, let us accept the fact that, you know, it's not easy for a political party member or supporter to move away from the ruling party where we are being told that things are okay, the cost of living is okay. And yet members are moving away from the ruling party, UPND, to the opposition CF, which perhaps doesn't have the money to feed those members. But people seem to be buying into the ideology of Citizens First as the hashtag or the slogan of the party suggests. That when, according to President Harry Kalaba, he believes that when or if he wins the presidency, he will prioritize the interests of the people. Hence, the Citizen First comes in. Now, one would say, come on, I'm already in power, I'm eating. Maybe I would dump the UPND if they lose power, or when they lose power. It depends. But members are running away now, Mike, from the ruling party where things are purportedly okay. That gives you a lot of questions around. While big people who are running businesses like the Study Mwali and the others, they are running out from the opposition. They are running out from the hunger. You know, we are going through ourselves. Them, they are going to the ruling party because maybe they want to eat. PK has given a very good synopsis of who Study Mwale is. Is the man who was at the helm of the Gulfstream jet, which was being talked about. Defense PS at the time. And he's been in court and is in court. He has lost so many properties. So has he gone there to save the UPND or perhaps to eat? The viewers will answer that question. But the members being talked about defecting from the ruling party to the opposition, those, Mike, I would say, they are genuine. And the UPND, they should be worried when you see an ordinary member running out from you, and then you are getting political prostitutes. That becomes a worry politically. Now, let me conclude, Mike, to state that, or by stating that, if there's there's something I've liked about HK, and I will not miss my words. HK or Harry Kalaba, for me, there's one thing I've loved about him is the consistency. He's a person who seemed to have the zeal. He seemed to have a clear vision where he wants to go and where he wants to take the party or the people of Zambia.
Do you think that the consistency will pay off?
Yes, it will. It will. It may be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, but eventually in the future, it will pay off. Because remember, we've got President HH today, who is where he is today because of his consistency and perseverance.
23 years.
You understand? And HK is one kind of a leader for me who has been very consistent in what he does. Remember, he was under DP. First of all, he resigned from the PF. Not easy. You know, we are getting taxpayers' money, free accommodation, and free everything. Then you resign. When I talk about morality here, PK, sometimes you always question me, no, but you're looking at the moral aspect. What does the law say? No, I will still maintain that. There are human beings, PK, there are human beings, comrade here, who have got morals or morality in this country. And the HK for me is one of them because he resigned for the PF. But also he goes
as you conclude.
Thank you so much. When he went to DP, you saw what happened, that confusion.
Yeah.
He never gave up. You know what I mean? He said, I'm not a coward. I will still be able to establish another empire somewhere. He went and he formed up the Citizens First, which is moving again. Again, it was part of the opposition fiasco, opposition alliances, which have failed. But the man says, I am going there. People have, of course, insulted him. People have criticized him that he's pompous, he's whatever. But look, you cannot mix yourself with the bad seeds for the sake of you not wanting to be called as a pompous person or a sellout. No. Look, we must be able to make decisions.
10 seconds.
As what Calabas has done. You can insult him, you may not like him, but the man is seems to be moving forward. And for that, for me, I give it to him.
All right, and now moving on. President Hakainde Hichilema has pledged to establish a public university in Eastern Province, reigniting debates over regional equity in higher education development. While the promise has been welcomed in the eastern part, and it has drawn concern from northwestern and western provinces, which are still awaiting similar commitments. The issue highlights broader questions around balanced development, resource allocation, and political prioritizing. I should also make mention before I even call for a clip to say this was during the Twilight traditional ceremony where Paramount Chief Mpezeni lobbied for a university in the eastern part of the country. But also, before the president became the Republican president, when he was in the opposition, he did, promise, the people of, Western Province of a university, but also after coming into power, and this was after the debt restructuring, he did mention to say he's going to make sure to say there is a university in the northwestern province. PK, we'll start with you on the issue of a university being brought up in the eastern part. Should university developments be needs-based or politically driven?
They should never be politically driven, Mike. In Zambia, remember we had what we used to call the 7th Development National Plan. And then we are supposed to have, I'm not too sure under the UPND, I don't hear it in the official speeches,
Correct.
the 8th National Development Plan. What that tells you is it's a vision for the country 2030. Where do you want to see Zambia from now until 2030? In there, the nation has projected the growth of the education sector, the growth of the mining sector, the growth of tourism, the growth of... And therefore, any government that is coming in must translate its manifesto based on the national vision in the 8th National Development Plan. You saw the PF using the 7th National Development Plan, which was changed and upgraded to the 8th National Development Plan. They focused on infrastructure development. They focused on infrastructure for universities and colleges. It is not a political feel-good that because Mr. Mpezeni has requested, let's build a university.
Oh, he has endorsed me.
If it is not in the vision of the nation, why are you building it? One of the things that is a letdown and a disappointment for me under the UPND administration is the PF had a good plan to link the nation with the roads, to build infrastructure in terms of airports, in terms of universities. I come from Chinsali. There is a university that was started in Chinsali. Under the UPND, they discontinued it. Why did you discontinue that university? The Robert Kapasa Marcus, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Is it-
very, it's
Is it
right.
net operation?
No, there is. I need to. I
Or
need.
the FDJ.
No. The FTJ is in Luapula.
Luapula.
There is a university in Chinsadi. The other one you're talking about is in.
Oh, yeah.
Is in Chewe Chiefdom near Mpika.
Yes.
Okay, that one is operational. But in Chinsadi, right at the Boma, I mean between Boma and the historic Lubwa Mission, right in the hills there is an abandoned university. There is an abandoned university. I come from there. It's not like it never started, like the one you reported about.
Yeah, FDJ.
The university I'm talking about in Lubwa. It started when you are driving from the Boma going to Lubwa. You will see the structure there. It is standing incomplete. The UPND, when they came into power, they abandoned it. Yeah. The question is why? Now you have a political request from the east that they need a university. Wow, you have abandoned one that is supposed to be finished. This thing of wanting to do things politically without following a national development plan must come to an end. We need consistency. Even as the UPND may be leaving office, whichever party will come in power, whether it's Tonse, whether it's Citizens First, whether it's Socialist, they must anchor their program on continuity. I like America for one thing. America, when the blue party leaves, the reds of Donald Trump will continue based on the national plan. Of course, they will stick to their own. They'll tweak a few things around foreign policy, around gay rights and what. But in terms of national continuity and identity, they will continue. In Zambia, unfortunately, they will say, "Oh, we can't continue this. It was started by the PF. Oh no, we can't continue. It was started by the UPND." Even the UPND, those toilets they started on the copper belt there, even if they are not finished,
as you conclude,
whichever party is coming into power must make sure that they continue with those toilets there on the copper belt, because it is important for cleanliness, for
Just proper sanitation.
just sanitation.
So you mean even completing the toilets has become a problem?
Well, as far as I know, they are not completed. There is a report in the news. IP, you are a station manager. Go to Copperbelt, go and do us a special report on the completion of those toilets.
So why should I be excited about the university in Eastern Province?
Yeah.
Will it be done?
If the toilet project hasn't been completed, I don't think the university will be completed either.
IP, that actually comes on the same issue of the university in the eastern part of the country.
Yeah, so Mike, my submission is that, first of all, I'm looking for the speech which was given to the president where he delivered that, or he made that promise. Was that promise of wanting to build a university in the Eastern Province, was it on part of the speech? If it wasn't, then that becomes a problem. But however, Mike, I think let's begin to expose certain things. It was the same President Hakainde Hichilema. Remember who promised the people of Northwestern Province when he was in the opposition that when we get into power as UPND, we know that you people here have been neglected. I don't know why you didn't call for those clips to justify, so that we're not accused even as we submit. He promised the people of Northwestern that when we come into power, we are going to give you a university here. Why is it that people in Lusaka, one province has got maybe about 2-3 universities? What's wrong with you people here in Northwestern Province? What's wrong with the people of Western Province? He promised that. Fast forward, Mike. God allows President Hakainde Hichilema, the UPND, to form government in 2021. HH embarks on the debt restructuring. In simpler terms, debt postponement, running away from responsibility, passing the baton to the future generation. When that was done, he went again back to Northwestern Province. Videos are there. Where he said, now that we have restructured the debt.
Where are the videos?
Thank you so much, PK.
Maybe we should
I
see
didn't
it.
want to take his role, but I think let's do that. Let's have the videos director.
They might be
PK
ready
is
by
right.
this time, yes. We'll go on the director to actually give us those videos simultaneously.
Right.
Colleges, university. I'm sure that's what you wanted me to say. You were waiting for that. Hang on. You have been cheated about a government university, Mwabulos. Where is it? I want to be challenged today. Where is the university you were cheated about? A government, a public university like other provinces. Where is it? You are just one of the few. Bulozi, Northwestern has no government university. Bulozi has no government university after being cheated. Southern province has no government. All these related provinces, they have none. I think Eastern has none. But some provinces have 2, 3, just 100 kilometers apart. You remember you talked about social equity. Does that reflect social equity? I know. I can't. We will deal with that. The university here is coming. When I'm announcing here that the university is coming. Not in our second term, in our first term. I'm talking of putting it up, operationalizing. I've already given an example of our ability to put projects very quickly together and get them operational, employ people. People don't have to travel. Then you must travel to another project because you want to, not because you have to. Two are different. Because I am here proudly to say, after debt restructuring, Northwestern Province will have a university. So children don't have to travel to Copperbelt, to Lusaka, to Mulungushi. So we will, as a government, begin to schedule now budget for the construction of a public university here. I know there could be private universities, but the two are not the same. But a public university, a government-owned university or structured by government. There are 6 provinces that don't have the universities. Others have so many in one province. Lusaka has the lion's share. I know when I took office, people were laughing at me. But what is this methodical thing he's talking about? You can see things are now lining up nicely, having dealt with them properly, in an orderly, organized manner, one by one. Without, for example, debt restructuring, you could have no chance for development at all. Zero. Okay. We did a couple of things without debt restructuring because we're engineers. Those who were in office before us believed we would never do a road before we achieve debt restructuring. Secondly, they thought that we would never achieve debt restructuring. So we'll be a failed government. We had other ideas ourselves. But debt restructuring stood in the way of Bukoma overall. And I want to say,
oh, that's the information that we have packed up for you, our esteemed viewers out there. IP, you were on the floor, and according to the videos that we've just watched, it was mentioned to say a university is coming, not in the second term, but in the first term of being in office, and that's in the western part of the country.
That's correct, Mike. That's what I was talking about. And when you listen to that first clip, President HH, he assured the people of Northwestern Province that when we get into power, we shall give you a public university within our first year into office. Not second year,
First
but
term.
First term.
or first term rather,
Yes.
into office. So first term, we
It's
are talking,
coming to an end.
it's coming to an end.
Maybe the plot has not even been identified.
You understand? You understand? So look, even if I'm explaining this, I'm trying to belabor to explain this for the sake of those who can't hear. Okay? And that's a president there. From there again, 2023 thereabout, after the debt postponement was done, he went back again and it said we are now done with the debt restructuring. There will be room for development and the university is coming.
Northwestern.
In Northwestern.
Northwestern.
What has happened? So you want a person like me, no matter how gullible I can be, no matter how dour I can be, are you telling me that the people of Western Province can be given a university? And this message should go to my paramount chief in Pezen. Let's wake up. You can't do that. How can the head of state plot, first citizen from plot 1 comes and just gives you empty statements? I think we can do better as a country. And the president needs to be guided. Living Goma, let's guide the president. Let's guide our father. Let's guide our president. Let's not mislead the people. I'm not saying that Living Goma is misleading him. No. I'm just saying he's a political advisor. He needs to take charge of the president and the presidents.
Mike Sichula, you are on, and I would love to get your submissions on this issue.
Thank you very much. So let me put the context to what made the president come out in such a way. Because I analyze speeches and I also analyze certain ways how these things come about. If we are able to play the clip, the president, as he was delivering his message to the Nchwara ceremony, he kind of like remembered to say the paramount chief made a request or demanded to say, Mr. President, we need a university. So the president was answering. The president did not have the establishment of the university in his speech. It was not there. It was a response to a question or a demand or a request that was made by the paramount chief. And what did the president say? He said, soon. He said, the university is coming to Chipata soon. And we all know what soon means. Soon may be after 10 years. Soon is not immediate. Then also it means there is no priority. It is not a priority program for the UPND administration to establish a university in the Eastern Province. Now, having said that and analyzed that issue, does the Eastern Province need a university? I think the issue that we must be tackling as a nation, we need to look at the problem that we have created. We have created the problem of we are going to have too many, are we calling them grade 12s or Form 5? What are we calling them?
Form 5 now.
Anyway, sorry, our viewers, I've forgotten what we're calling them. The problem that we have created now with the free education that the government is providing, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. We are going to offload many students that may not have the capacity, financial ability to go into university. So, as a nation, we need to prepare to say there are so many people that did not afford to be in school, but now they are in school, and at some point they are going to be offloaded on the market.
Does it conclude 10 seconds?
Do we have the capacity in terms of employing them? We don't have. So where can we take them? We need to take them to maybe Taveta institutions. Do we have enough facilities that can absorb them so that they can provide them with skills in order to survive on their own if the government has not provided education? Maybe, Mike, allow me just a quick one, sorry, not to eat into your time. When you look at the economic projection of Zambia and the sectors that are contributing to Zambia having good economic numbers, it is the ICT sector. Zambia, as we speak today, doesn't have a university that specializes in the provision of ICT services. There was a call that was made by the technology minister, Felix Mutati, that Evelyn Horn should be turned into a technology university. So if the government harbors the idea of establishing universities, I would encourage the Zambian government to establish a ICT sector university, and this can be done in the Eastern Province or in Northwestern Province or any other province that does not have a university.
All right, Mike Sichula, now just to move on even as we conclude on tonight's segment of the analysis, the postponement of a court judgment involving the Patriotic Front to March 27th has deepened uncertainty around the party's planned elective convention. Now, the legal battle centered on leadership legitimacy continues to paralyze internal decision-making and weakens the party's structures and readiness for the 2026 general elections. And in relation to the same topic, Materu, Member of Parliament Mau Sampa, did mention to say he will not be taking part, into the elections regarding who's going to lead the PF, which are the presidential elections. Now, I'll give each of you a minute, and special analyst, I'll start with you in relation to the postponement of this judgment. Your submission.
I think this judgment is something that has hit the PF beyond their expectations. To me, they thought maybe it was going to come their way, but like we have spoken on this platform to say, using the current system, the PF having been in government before, the PF, they had a similar issue where the MMD was entangled in all these power struggles engineered by themselves as the governing party, and they knew exactly what they wanted. What they wanted was to destabilize the MMD, and they managed through the likes of Felix Mutati, former cabinet minister Raphael Nakachinda, who was also a faction of the MMD. So to me, this postponement is not something that I was shocked. It's not something that I was surprised. I expected it because there is a political scheme by the UPND using state institutions to paralyze the PF beyond recognition.
IP, your submission on the postponement of the judgment in regards to the Patriotic Front.
My submission, Mike, within a minute. I would say, the PF, there's that arrogance in PF. Okay? We've advised, look, Mike, when we sit here, we don't sit at the BS of anyone. You understand that? We've been employed by the people of Zambia to analyze issues as they are. So at times, our analysis or the way we analyze issues may be painful, but we don't mind about that, provided we would have given you direction. But if you want to take it, it's up to you. It's the same even with the government. When we speak to the government and we begin to unpack a few things here and there, it is up to the government to pick what we're saying or ignore. But when you ignore, then you realize that the future will always haunt you. It's the same with the PF. We've been talking about this issue, Mike, but they have not listened. As late as last week, we had, for example, the deputy SG of the PF administration, a good brother and friend of mine, Celestine Mukandila. And I asked him a question. I said, Bwana, don't you think that if you go for a convention as a grouping and then you begin to quote the PF, just the name itself, that will be contempt according to the injunction? No. I want to promise you that come month end, we will have a convention as PF. What has happened today? So you can see that even in the political opposition and the biggest opposition political party in Zambia in the name of the PF, they are also lying. They are also failing to fulfill their promises, just like the UPND in so many facets. So if you are in the opposition, you promise the people of Zambia that come month end we shall have a convention. Then you fail and you pretend as if all is well, even you go quiet, innocently so. You can't even give an update. As the SGs of the President Luwinda, I know that I was told he was involved in a road accident. I hope he's recovering. But there are so many people who should have communicated with the people. What has happened to that convention? You know why they are quiet? It's a shame. They are ashamed because we told them.
Do you think Mau Sampa's withdrew from the presidential race in the PF? Actually directs to say maybe this is the end of the road in the PF?
He messed up. I mean, he has messed them up. So he knows that I think there's nothing I can do. So he is a spoiler, messing the rest of the team in the PF, and then he decides to hang up the boots or hang on the boots, and I'm not going to contest. Bwana, the PF, they can't redeem this confusion which they have right now. You're dealing with a very sophisticated political team, Imingalato, Promax, as it is called on social media. So they can't let the PF go. And we've mentioned the only solution is for them find other camps, find the refugee in other political parties. A few minutes ago, I was talking about Citizens First. Nothing
As you
personal about
conclude.
it. That they are progressive, seemingly progressive political parties where you can join. They have this Fred member this side. Go and join them. Go and join People's Alliance for Change and for Banda. Go and join Zambia, the Zambia we want. Unlike you holding people at ransom.
All right.
That's a confusion.
PK, your submissions, and what do you think will happen if the judgment is further postponed as we head to the 27th of March?
Thank you, Mike. Mike, just permit me to make one clarification on the previous submission before I answer this one. I talked about a university in Chinsali that is incomplete. It's actually the Paul Mushindo University.
Thank you. You're right.
Paul Mushindo University. The Kapasamakasa is functional.
Yes.
Okay, but it's the Paul Mushindo. Then also to correct Mike Sichula, you were talking about ICT University. There is one, the former Zamteo college in Ndola. It was changed by the government as an ICT university. It is run in conjunction with Zicta, I think.
Right,
so that one is there. So let me come to my favorite topic of politics. I agree with IP. The PF, they are incorrigible. The PF, they are very arrogant. The PF, they are very entitled. The PF don't, especially those at the leadership level, in fact, in the given Rwinda faction, they feel so entitled that it must be them and no one else. That is not what you should do as a leader who is saying the nation is not going in the right direction, let's work together. But you can't say let's work together, but I must be the leader.
No.
That is the entitlement of the PF. And we, in particular, here at KBN, we have said from day one when they started OKA, we started guiding them. Everything we predicted will happen has happened. Even the judgment, I am so shocked that people who have been in government before, Mr. Rwinda himself, a former justice minister, and he has seen how broken down the system has become. He still believes in the courts. They were told this judgment will be passed when? 25th.
25th.
It was never to be passed. They were called in the chamber only to be told this judgment will be now passed on the 27th of March. Now, my question to them is this. What if the judge decides to go on leave on that day? What will happen?
Exactly.
They will still be waiting for her to pass judgment, then they can go to the convention.
From a workshop.
But PF, I can tell you this, Muicheme, and I'm speaking seriously. If you really don't love Zambia, get out of the way. Let people who love Zambia jump into this ship to steer the opposition unity. You can't just be detecting, I mean, you want to dictate where these things should go. I'll tell you this. You have one of your own in the name of Brian Mundubire. He saw the confusion, came out, you have said he has
resigned.
He has resigned, he has fired himself, he has expelled himself. As a matter of fact, he is more organized than the rest of you. If you really want to form government, take it or leave it. You can join Brian Mundubire. If you don't want to join Brian Mundubire, you can join Hari Kalava. Now tell me, I'm very shocked that you cannot, as PF, decide on your own to join Mundubire or to join Hari Kalava, yet there is a convention purported to be called by the Council of Elders. You want them to go and organize you when there is a political party that is formidable here, there is another formation that is formidable here. You want to go and listen to the retired, sons of this
politicians
of this soil, and you think that is where the solution lies? Is it hatred for Brian Mundubire? Is it hatred for Hari Kalava? Is it hatred for Dr. Fred Membe? What is it? Why can't you think on your own and decide that this is the way to go? The convention will not happen. Nominations will be happening in the next 2 months. So what time do you have to go for a convention? When Brian Mundubire has got a formation that you can easily join and campaign together. When Hari Kalaba has got a formidable party that you can join and campaign together.
Correct.
PF, you need to realize that Zambians don't owe you nothing. You actually owe the Zambian people an apology for wasting their time.
All right, thank you, Peter. Now we move to our last topic this evening, of which several members linked to the PF and the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have been arrested on allegations of cyberbullying as law enforcement tightens enforcement of cybercrime. Now, this is in relation to the letter that was circulating on social media, where it was alleged that President Hakainde Hichilema has resigned as the Republican president of Zambia. Also on, another issue that was, another picture that was circulating on social media, of which the president was seen in a coffin. The reports that are coming in are that the two gentlemen have been arrested. Mike Sechel, I'll start with you, your submissions on these issues.
Maybe Mike, you can, let's speak to the DSG, so just to get clarification as to why they did not hold the convention, the PF. You can speak to Mukandila.
Hello, good evening.
How are you?
Good. This is actually Mike Mwendesabe, the host of today's Sunday Analysis segment.
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, Mr. Mukandila, I would love to find out. It was, reported to say you were supposed to have the PF convention, which was, on the 27th, but it was later postponed to the 27th of March. What is your message to the PF members out there? Are you going to have the convention?
We are definitely going to stick by the statement we made, by the undertaking we made with regards to the conference. We shall be having the conference, or we may have had the conference. Because, realistically, we have not updated the nation with regards to the status currently. But we shall be announcing to the nation very soon as to the status of the party currently and as to the status of the conference.
Now, still talking about the status of the conference, the judgment was postponed, but as you mentioned, there was no official update to the PF members on what happened, what transpired. What led to such a silence?
We initially informed the Zambian people and the Patriotic Front members that the issue of the conference will not be tied to court processes. The president of the Patriotic Front, Honorable Given Luvindai, made a statement in his end of year statement that the Patriotic Front shall have a conference regardless of matters that are subsisting before court. And therefore it was indicated, he even indicated that, you see, you may be traveling from Lusaka to Chongwe, and on your way to Chongwe you have a breakdown by Charleston. An alternative may be sought, where you decide to leave your vehicle to get onto another vehicle so as to ensure that you get your destination, which is Chongwe. So a similar fact would have applied to the Patriotic Front, where we know to say if we're going to have a hurdle with regards to the vehicle we have, we shall ensure that we still deliver for the Zambian people.
Nominations. Nominations are in 2 months' time. What's your message to the PF members? Because as we speak, they lack direction and they need direction. So what's your message to them?
They don't lack direction. The problem is the media and everyone else has been creating propaganda indicating that the Patriotic Front lacks direction. We don't lack direction. We have given direction. We have told the Zambian people that we're giving them a leadership by the end of February. And by the way, realistically speaking, it's extremely important to understand that we shall not be lured into doing things because we want to please the current regime. No, we'll do things to ensure we give the Zambian people a legitimate leadership.
Council.
Leadership is what we shall give the Zambian people.
Council, hold on.
So, come 26 May, as we go towards the nominations, we shall be able to be ready. By now, besides, just give us a bit of some hours, we'll be able to announce the Zambian people our direction.
We've given you 4 years.
Council, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, just answer this last question because you are putting the blame on with the media that we are creating a different narrative. But you remember last week I hosted you on this program, and you told me emphatically that come next week, come month end, we shall have a convention as PF. So the question is, why didn't you hold the convention last week?
I indicated that we shall give the Zambian people a torchbearer for the 2026 elections.
Next week,
and
yes, you said next week, come month end.
The same remains unchanged. Like I indicated, we shall be able to update the Zambian people where we are. In the
Council,
meantime,
hold on. Mike,
we are holding on to information which we shall be able to inform the Zambian people.
Council, you've not answered my question. Hold on. Hold on, Council. You've not answered my question. You've not answered my question. You are answering a question from your heart. My question is, why didn't you have a convention or convene a convention last week or at the month end of February as you promised?
No, but you see, Innocent, the issue is, I have indicated that in due course we shall inform the media and the Zambian people of what has transpired since.
Okay, thank you so much.
And will not be able to inform you now.
All right.
But in due course, it may be in the next 10 hours, it may be in the next 24 hours. But as it stands, we are sticking to our words, we are sticking to our promise, we are sticking to our undertaking.
All right. Thank you so much, Council, for that. We've gotten your point.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, that was Celestine Mukandela, just, trying to give us clarification on why the convention never happened. But he has mentioned to say, the nation will actually be updated, should be in the next 4 hours, 10 hours, or 24 hours. Those are his words.
Which one is correct, Mike?
Maybe we latest we say 24 hours.
Maybe let's just say in the next 4 years.
Well, there is that. But we were on the issue of, two pictures. That is one, the letter circulating to say President Hakainde Hichilema has resigned as the Republican president of Zambia. And another one, it was, a picture that was circulating in which President Hichilema was seen in a coffin. But when he was swearing in at State House, during the swearing in ceremony, he did mention to say, if you actually found, creating, fake images of such, Zicta will actually catch up with you. And as we speak, we have people that have been arrested in the same scenario. Mike Suchila, your submission under a minute, even as we conclude today's segment.
Thank you very much. I'm one of the persons that when I speak on my Facebook page, I normally tell people that you can criticize the government using sober language, not insulting, which can also mean you can criticize the Zambian government not by making fake statements which can cause alarm to this nation. So when the president again spoke at State House regarding that picture, the AI generated picture that depicted him to be in a coffin, the president said something profound. He said that we need to have a system that can detect anyone who wants to post something that is fake, so that before this person posts it online, it must be put down, or it must be, social media should reject such a post. So that means the president has got a position of stiffening social media, because he has seen that social media is not being used correctly, but this is being perpetuated by politicians. I'm against fake propaganda that is going out on online purposes. Then, as I conclude, these arrests that we have seen and how some people have misbehaved themselves in terms of using social media, it makes the UPND administration to be on firm ground to say, actually, those people who said the UPND promised to repeal or abolish the cybersecurity law and everything should actually see that the cyber system is working, because we're able to arrest people that are doing illegal things on social media. So it gives them the leverage to say, this matter, even if we promise the Zambian people that we are going to abolish it, it is actually for good purposes, and it's something that the UPND, they're probably happy. And
right.
Also on the same vein, the Minister of Information
10 seconds.
Was for him, he said the social media now has become something else. I agree with him, but if you look at what is happening, most of the people that are misbehaving themselves are politically linked. And I want to encourage Zambians and urge Zambians, let's use these social platforms for the benefit of the nation and not dividing or burning this nation.
All right, thank you very much. IP, your last submission on this topic.
My last submission, I want to make mention, Mike, that it is, I think, quite unfair for me to, let's say, if I'm going to wake up, or because I don't like you, Mike, maybe I don't like PK, or I don't like Comrade Sichula here, or the President Hakainde Hichilema himself, and begin to use my gadget and begin to, concoct some pictures or stories narrating or putting up a narrative that President Hakainde Hichilema has resigned. I think that is unfair. We are all social media users, but we can still use our social media in a very, sober manner. I am not saying that the gentlemen who have been arrested, they are the ones who did that. That I'm not aware. But all I'm doing, just to put up, a generic statement that we must be responsible in the manner we use our social media. Comrade, when I looked at that later, I was like, what's going on here? You understand? But of course, we sit at a point of, verifying information. We never got excited, some of us, when we got wind of that. And within 24 hours, I think the ZICT and the police, they were able to quickly apprehend the suspects in question. But my advice is that, look, let us be responsible. Zambia is our country. Even if you don't like HH, you cannot wish each other dead and stuff like that. If he wants to resign, he will resign. He has demonstrated to you that he can't resign despite the pressure and the fake promises he has made to you about the FTJ University. He misled and lied to you about the Paul Mushindo, university, about the University of Northwestern Province, HH. He has failed to fulfill all that. And Zambians have criticized him. And the man says, I can't resign. So who am I now to write a letter on his behalf to say, can you resign because you lied on this area? No, it's beyond us. The only time you can able to punish him, if at all you don't like HH, wait for the time when an election will be called, and that will be very soon. You can frustrate your frustration, no one is going to arrest you. But if these gentlemen did that, then that will be wrong. But for now, I would say they are quite innocent using my name until when the competent courts of law will decide otherwise. But generally, as a country, let us be responsible.
Thank you very much for your submission. Pick your submission on this issue.
My quick submissions on this, Mike. Number one, I'll speak to this from 3 angles, but I'll be very brief. Number one is anyone who begins to forge official documents, fabricate statements like that, that's very criminal minded. And by all means they need to face the law. You also cannot sit somewhere and begin to use technology to wish the heads of state dead in a coffin. That's very evil, if you ask me. I mean, what's your intention, first of all? Even if you don't like the person who is in the office, at least have respect for the institution.
Correct.
Of the presidents. Have respect. You don't do that. Morally, legally, it is all wrong. That's number one. Number two is we need to be very critical as Zambians. Is it a criminal mind that is driving someone to wake up and say the president has resigned? Is it a criminal mind that is driving someone to say the president has died? Or is it an expression of some level of frustration? What is it? I don't know. So that is number two. And I don't have answers for, I'm just asking questions. The last thing is to the government and the law enforcement agents. I am a very disappointed citizen. Because the government is very, I want to find a better way. The government and the wings of government, they are not projecting a balanced way, an objective way, a focused way of applying the law.
Fairness.
There is no fairness. I am very disappointed as a citizen. And I say this because they have been quick to arrest those who are seen to be defaming the president or anyone in government. But any other publication that is linked to them as UPND, as a party, they see, I mean, there are publications that we see. They are every day defaming people like Dr. Fred Membe. Every single day they are defaming him. Every single day. Are you sure, you people in government, you don't see what those publications do? Don't you think that Dr. Fred Membe is a human being? Is a man with a family? Is a respected leader, not just in Zambia, but the region? But why do you let them continue to defame him? And I'm just giving him as an example. They defame many others, but you don't act. You don't arrest them. These double standards must come to an end. It's not right. It's very hateful that only a crime that is committed against the president is a crime. Any other crime committed against an opposition leader, you don't regard it as a crime.
They want to say he didn't complain.
Exactly.
This is so wrong by any degree, by any means. It is wrong. And I put it on record. I'm a very disappointed citizen. Your government must be seen to be balanced in the application of the law. You cannot be doing this. It is not acceptable. And it's actually very annoying to the citizens. If they don't tell you, at least we can speak on their behalf.
Correct.
All right, gentlemen, we've come to an end of tonight's edition. Thank you very much. Mike Sichola, speech analyst, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, my namesake, and thank you very much to our dear viewers for joining us. And I'm also pleased by the conclusion made by PK, because it is truly unfair that when others are being defamed, the wheels of prosecution or the wheels of arresting those people takes a snail's space. And if I became president at some point, I think some of these people who are heading these institutions need to be fired whenever there's a change of administration, especially if they begin to act against things that they were not acting against when they were in power. I think these people don't deserve our taxpayers' money.
All right, thank you very much. That was Mike Sichola, speech analyst. Innocent Biri, IP, thank you very much for coming through.
I'm humbled, Mike, and thank you so much to the viewers. Thank you.
PK, Pastor Kennedy Mambwe, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you so much, Mike. To your credit, someone was sending a comment to say, keep that young man as an anchor. So you've got a card out there.
Very much appreciated.
Correct.
We've come to an end of